Well, hello, fellow addicts. Welcome back to Addicts Live, your internet escape from the craziness in the world. I'm Alissa, your resident head addict, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host I think he's just west. He might be a little bit south this time. Just the skosh, but he's definitely west. Super Safi.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Lincoln, Nebraska.
The man who likes to test my geographic knowledge. Yes, the Addicts Crew is back once again to bring you Simpsons news and Saturday smiles. Feels good to say that after a week off. Did you guys miss us last week? And as always, before we get into this week's show, it is time for your weekly reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So hit that red button so you don't miss any of the addicts. And as always, for those not watching this directly on YouTube, I will put a link to the subscribe button in the show notes below us. So let's get on with the show, shall we, Saf? The rise of the robots has officially ended in Springfield. The robots have officially been defeated, sort of. And aside from the splash screen, we're really ready to move on to something new. But of course, we can't move on to the next event until we fully dissected the last event. So it's time for everyone's favorite podcast episode, the event breakdown. But before we break down the event in full, Saf, I think we should take a quick look back at Act 4, because we didn't have a show last week, so we didn't dissect Act 4 at all. So we'll just kind of do a quick, brief, give you our quick reactions, even quicker than normal, about Act 4, because there's really not much to say about it. As a reminder, the prizes for Act 4 included Emma, Cyborg Bart, the ATM Pos-i-bot, the Squishy Machine Pos-i-bot, and the Hot Dog Pos-i-bot. And the premium item was Carnage Destructicus and the Human Foosball Table. And apparently, talking to Wookiee, I say Pos-i-bot wrong. So my apologies. If anybody, it's just how I talk. English degree. So Saf, overall thoughts on Act 4?
The dialogue was great for the whole event. Overall, I thought it was the dialogue was kind of indicative of the 4 acts. I mean, like the robots, they kept rising for the first 3 acts, and then just like the robots lost in the end, the event lost in the end. I thought it was a bit of a letdown there in Act 4, especially compared to the first 3 acts. Yeah, that's pretty much my overall take. How about you?
Yeah, we've said from the beginning, Act 4 was definitely going to be the weak link in this event. We kept telling people, it's going to go like this, it's going to go like this, it's going to get like this, and then Act 4 is just going to fall off a cliff. And we were right. The dialogue was good, as always. The prizes are fun. They're fun, but they're not the climax of the event, penultimate prizes, these could have been like Act 2 prizes. They just weren't. I don't know. I think your best prizes were in Act 3 for sure. And these were just kind of like a true letdown. But again, the dialogue was good. The story was good overall. And the Human Foosball Table, I enjoy that. I think that's funny. It's big, but it's funny. So that's kind of where we sit with Act 4. So how was that for a quick reaction, guys? That was like 30 seconds of us just saying Act 4 was not good. And I know many of you agreed with us. So let's move on to the event as a whole. For those who are having trouble remembering back that far, back 5 weeks, this event consisted of 4 acts, as they always do. Act 1, the prizes were the Prodigy Barn, the Chocobots, the Bear Robot, the Robot Rumble Trophy, Chief Knock-a-Homer. For Act 2, the prizes were the Robot Rumble Studio, the Award Show Enforcement Bot, Ralph O'Cop, Smashiest Clay, and Frank Jr. The Act 3 prizes were the Flanders and Simpsons Car Pos-i-bot, the Springfield Robotics Lab, the Giant Buzz Cola Can, and Bestimus Mucho, who I still think hands down best prize of this event. And Act 4, as we just said, Emma, Cyborg Bart, ATM Pos-i-bot, Squishy Machine Bot, and the Hot Dog Cooker Bot. Saf, event as a whole, now looking back that we have 4 full acts, everything's done, everything's over. What do you think event-wise as a whole?
It was an average event for me personally. I wasn't a huge fan of the concept of the robots, to be quite honest. But some of the prizes in terms of look and Animation I thought were above average actually. The Act 3 prizes not only, but also some of the Act 1 and 2 prizes. Act 4, yeah, it was nice that you could kind of click on the machinery to turn them into robots, and you can leave them as robots. Or if you want to have like ATM or whatever vending machine, you're welcome to have those as well. But it was a little bit of a letdown. But the animation was good, the dialogue was good, but overall, it wasn't my favorite event of the year. And I know we've only had two, so it was my least favorite event of the year. So,
Yeah, there's not much to compare it to. I didn't mind this one overall. I thought they were really good with the exception of Act 4. Um, they were really good with the prizes as far as the types of animations they did. We got 3 full characters. We got 2 NPCs, which honestly we haven't gotten in a while. So it was actually nice for a change to get an NPC because we haven't received one in a while. And a lot of the prizes did multiple things, like the animation. You tap it, it does something. I like that. And all the buildings had character tasks, which we haven't seen in a little while. They've been neglecting that. So it was nice to see they put a little bit of effort in some things. I think we are ready for an event format change. I don't think, and we've discussed this before, I don't think one's coming until at least October, but I do think we're ready for one. I think this format has been played out. I think we need a little bit more challenging events or something that does something else. Like the big thing we talked about, I think, with Act 1 of this was they missed the prime opportunity to have true robot battles with this. Like they could have taken back something from the superhero events, something from the magic event, and just had these battles with the robots fighting humans or something like that, and that would have been fun. But they missed it. They didn't do it, and I think that's what's lacking from the game right now. That extra little element, because if you look back, some of the best events we've had have been events that had that extra little step. The magic event where you had that fight, the superheroes events where you had battles, the casino event where you could play casino games. Those types of things are what make TSTO fun, and we're missing that. And that was really lacking in this event. You really felt it with this one. But overall, like I said, I thought the prizes were strong with the exception of Act 4. But even the Act 4 prizes, they weren't good for final event prizes, but I still think they were decent. Like, I like that they do something else when you tap on them and continue doing it until you tap on them again. Like the ATM Pos-i-bot shooting money makes me giggle. Like, I think it's fun. And they didn't have to do that. They could have just had it as a stationary item that didn't transform. So I like the fact that they all transform. Cyborg Bart is a letdown. How many skins does Bart really need?
right.
But I still, and you can chime in on this too. I think the Act 3 prize track was hands down the best prize track of this event. You had the 2 cars that transformed when you tapped them, and if you don't want Transformers in your town, you tap them again, and you finally have Flanders' car that's not frozen, and another Simpsons car, and Pestimus Mucho.
Really good price, yeah.
The best character of this event, hands down. And I mean, yeah, we got the giant Buzz Cola with Act 3, but you could take that with take that with everything else. I mean, it was the best act. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Act 3 was the best, which was nice. I mean, typically we've seen like Act 1 and then 2 get to the climax, and then it's been downhill after that. So, I mean, we had 3 good solid events, and then the 4th one, yes, was a letdown compared to the first 3, but it wasn't horrible like previous acts have been. I mean, no mystery tokens in any of the prize tracks, 3 full characters in the first 3 prize tracks. Like you said, multifunctional decorations that have really cool animations. So, yeah, overall it was really cool, and for people who are really into the robots, it was really fun for them.
And we finally got the Chocobots.
Yeah.
So after years of having the Fortress of Chocolatude, we finally had the Chocobots. So you don't just have to, tap on that to have them fly out. You actually have them. I actually wish they said more than what they
Right.
what they say, but it's still a fun prize. And I mean, Act 3 is the best prize track, but Acts 1 and 2 are really good too. I mean, you had some good solid prizes on
Oh, yeah,
those.
definitely.
Um, there were a couple things like the Robot Rumble trophy. Take it or
Yeah.
leave it. It is what it is. But I really enjoyed getting the NPCs, and I'm not a big fan of NPCs, but I feel like it's been so long since we've gotten one on a prize track that they were really nice. Bear Robot, I think they missed an opportunity by not having it speak. What the heck does it say to Mr. Burns? Something about love me or robot love, and then it runs through the bill. I
Right.
can't remember what it says specifically, but it's in the Where Did That Come From post. They missed the opportunity to have it say that, but it's still a fun NPC. And Ralph Cop makes me giggle every time I see it.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
one of the things we have in the game.
and we complete Frank's family. With Frank Jr.,
Yeah.
you've got Mrs. Frank, which are both premium. So Frank Jr. is a freemium character in the game, so that's fun.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was. I mean, there's only one other event to compare it to, which honestly, guys, it's May. I don't even remember what the first major event of the year was at the moment. I'd have to refresh my brain. Do you remember what it was, Saf?
I do not, sadly.
See,
But in my defense, I've been traveling like crazy the past 4 days, so.
It's true. I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna drive me nuts. But yeah, so we're kind of in this like. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, for me personally, I wasn't a huge fan of having like a robot themed event, but it actually exceeded my expectations. Like coming into it, I was coming in pretty lukewarm, thinking, it would just be a below average event. But I mean, I felt like this was above average, actually, in terms of prize tracks, in terms of there's a lot more items that I'm going to be keeping in my Springfield than I thought I would when we got the package almost 2 months ago. It seems like when we got the package pretty early for this one. So yeah, I was when I saw the pictures, I was like inventory, but a lot of it's going to be staying out actually, just because of the animation that goes along with it. So they did a lot of good work there.
Yeah, the first of major event of the year, by the way, was the Love and War event with Temperance. So I do think this is better than that. I'm just going to put that out there. I think this, because that had mystery box, that had a bunch of other things, and we'll, when we do the year in review, we'll really dissect everything and compare it. But yeah, the event itself, initially I was like, oh yeah, straight to inventory, just like you were thinking. And really the only things that went in my inventory were the trophy and the Buzz Cola can, because I'm not a fan of giant cans of soda, or I don't have the giant squishy out either. So I just, unless it serves a purpose, to me, I'd rather not take up valuable space in Springfield with something that just stands there. But yeah, I mean, I think it did exceed expectations, from the initial thoughts, from the initial packet we got. So that's always good to see. Should we do some good, bad, and ugly?
Sure.
All right. So go ahead. What was your good for this event?
There's quite a lot of good. The dialogue, getting 3 freemium characters on the prize track. You have the guild deal. I mean, 150 donuts for a guild deal was really good, actually. The premium characters themselves were quite good. I'll talk about the premium combos later, but yeah, the premium characters were nice. And yeah, other than that, the animation, of course, was excellent. I've already said that as many times. So that was my good. There was quite a bit of good, actually, with this.
Yeah, I mean, my good, as always, I feel like my good is always dialogue. At least in the last couple of years, dialogue is outstanding, as always. Beyond that, I have Bestimus Mucho, really good. I love the fact that he transforms into a car, and if you're not like standing there watching him, you will eventually see him just riding around Springfield as a car. I do like that. I wish he stayed as a car longer, but you get what you get. And the Flanders and Simpsons Pos-i-bot, I really enjoy those. I really like those. I was very pleasantly surprised by them, because that was something I was like, oh, these are going to end up in inventory because I don't need these giant transformers in my town, and I don't have to have them. I have 2 cars. I love it. So that to me was the good. Yeah, the Guild deal, 150 donuts. That was good too. It's nice to see that. And it was a character, not a costume, so that was nice too. Bad. What do you have for bad?
For bad, I mean, the Act 4 prize track was bad, but compared to the first three, but it wasn't as bad as some previous Act 4 prize tracks that we've seen in other events. So I would say that was a borderline bad. The Rumble announcers, the fact that you got two of them together, but as one character, earning just the same currency as one character, I thought that was bad. I felt like they could have made that something like a Sherry and Terry or something where it earns a double. How about you?
So my bad, and this is going to be like a random bad that I'm sure no one else is thinking about, but it's the random disjointedness of the premium characters like the Love Bot and Mr. Sparkle Factory and Brenda and the Thai Food Factory. They were so randomly disjointed. I was like, EA, what are you doing? Like, these combos make no sense whatsoever. So that to me was just kind of like a miss. They were still nice to get, don't get me wrong. So that's why they're not ugly. They're just a bad, but they were, weird. Especially the fact that the Love Bot doesn't use this Mr. Sparkle Factory. So that's weird. Like, why? And Mr. Sparkle doesn't use the Mr. Sparkle Factory. That's another like miss for me. So I'm sure other people have other things that they think were bad about this, but that to me was just like such a random, like, I don't know. It felt like, here's two things. Like, I think we talked about this during the thing. Like, they had a list of characters and a list of buildings, and they just kind of crossed. And then when they got to the end, they were like, oh, geez, these don't really go, but what else are we going to do? So it's kind of what it felt like. Ugly.
Yeah, for me, actually, that combination of the premiums was ugly. I just thought it made no sense why you have those combinations for all the reasons you pointed out. So I won't rehash them, but yeah.
Yeah, it was like such a weird, so weird. Some of them were really good and they made sense, but those two were just weird.
I think I could add to the good was for people who've been watching our Addicts lives, your reasoning of what they were thinking and why those two go together. I would put that in the good, but yeah, otherwise the combinations were ugly in my opinion.
So you're putting my assessments, my thought process as a good. I'll take it. My ugly was Act 4. Act 4 to me, well, yes, there were still some good things in there. It was such a miss. I mean, that's not how you end an event. You don't end an event with a frickin' hot dog cooker bot or a squish. I can't remember which one was the last prize, but that you don't end an event with that. For 195 pieces of event currency, you get a hot dog cooker bot. Like, I don't know. It felt like such a letdown to end this event. And it was a good event overall. Like, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I enjoyed it. There were a lot of, as we said, there were a lot of things that surprised us. There were a lot of things that exceeded our expectations. Act 4, I think, met our expectations. So that to me was an ugly moment for this event. Before we get into reader comments, because I did actually pose a question for a change, let's do our overall letter grades, and then we'll share what the readers gave this event. Saf, what is your overall letter grade for this event? And keep in mind, this could change come December when we do our year in review, but as of this moment, your overall letter grade.
Yeah, it absolutely could change between now and December. It changes all the time. I mean, when I got the packet, I was thinking like this was going to be like a D+, C- event. And like coming into this, when we were discussing, taping today, I thought this was like a B- event. But thinking about the event and just discussing it the last 15-20 minutes, it's gone up from a B- to a B. So it's already changing. So I'm going to give it a B.
Okay.
How about you?
I gave it a B+. And again, I reserve judgment till the end of the year. For my overall final thoughts when I compare it with other things. But I did enjoy this more than I enjoyed Love and War. I like the prizes for this more than I like the prizes for Love and War. So I give this a B. And it's funny because, like I said, this is not subject matter I really am interested in for the most part. Like, I never saw the Transformer movies. So I know. Guys, I never saw Titanic either, okay? But my husband always says the boat sinks, you're okay. But I enjoyed it. Yeah, sorry, if you haven't seen a movie from like 1994, my apologies. But yeah, I enjoyed this more than I thought I would. So I would give this a B, B plus. Let's jump to what the readers thought. So we actually had a working poll, Saf, for a change. I actually put the right kind of poll up. So I asked what your overall thoughts on Rise of the Robots were, and then I asked you to grade it, A, B, C, D, or F. So the readers, we got a good amount of responses on this, so I'm grateful for that. Should we go from best to worst or worst to best?
Let's go worst to best. Save the best for last.
So F, 10.7% gave this an F. D, 21.4% gave this a D. And then really splitting up the vote were C and B. A little more gave it a C at 31.9%, then gave it a B at 30.4%. And I will, this should be up on the screen as I'm talking about it, but I also will put this in the show notes, the graph, so you guys can see this as well. So 30.4% gave this a B, and a whopping 5.7% gave this an A. So I think most of us agree this is not an A event. It's missing a lot of elements to be an A event. But I'm actually surprised more people gave this an F than an A. That surprises me.
Yeah. And the C's barely edging out the B. I thought. Initially, I really was thinking that would be like a CD event, but it really, when you think about it, when we were discussing it, it really isn't that bad of an event. So yeah, maybe it's just people getting tired when they're voting in these polls and voting during Act 4, which was the worst. It's very hard to argue that, but it was the worst of the 4 acts. So yeah.
Well, we always say there's a recency bias, So if what's fresh in your brain is that the event isn't good, like Act 4 is freshest in your brain, you're not really looking back 5 full weeks. You're like, oh, well, this act sucks, so this whole event it must have sucked. So that's why we do these shows, to put it all into perspective. As I tell you guys always, don't judge it until it's done and you look back and you can say, okay, this is what was here, this is what was here. That's why we always do year-end reviews too, so we can kind of look back and grade everything in the context of the entire year. So let's jump to some reader comments. We had a few responses on this, which I always love to see. I always love getting you guys involved. John Miller says, not a great review, EA. About time you were shaking things up a bit. If you continue with this lame format, there will only be a few diehards left playing. Was a great game, possibly Premier League. Now, sadly, Division 2 at best. Wish I understood with that. M says, a C-. I'm barely half finished with the 4th prize track, and I'm not bothered. I'm not the bothered even a nano bit. Okay. Lane Olson says, it's a D for me. Always the same format with these events. I have been here since the start of TSTO, and I'm just going through the motions these past few years. Unless the format changes to something more interesting, my time as a full-time player is coming to an end. I feel it's time to pull out the last stop, EA, and bring us Troy McClure. Guys, we're never going to get Troy McClure. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We're never getting Troy McClure. Sorry. Ahmed says, I wouldn't say it was the worst event ever, but this one was a rare total fail. I waited until it was over, bundled up most of the decorations and characters, and put them into storage. I guess, Saf, we have different opinions. Synapse says, this wasn't a bad TSTO event, but then we've had better. I'm just anticipating what EA has in store for us next. Essence 1919 says, I graded the event a C. I am not a fan of robots. Okay. Toby says, maybe just me, but these events list something they used to. These events have lost something. It says list, but I think it's supposed to be lost. These events have lost something they used to have. They seem more and more about selling overpriced premium items and less about the event. I'm finding myself caring less and less about these. So I just want to comment on this real quick because this is something I have been saying since 2016. Donut farming has led to the game being heavily premium focused, because when you basically destroy premium currency, what it's worth, it doesn't matter what something costs because you can just farm more donuts. And, somebody mentioned they have over 100,000 donuts now. They don't care what stuff costs. If you're farming donuts for free, it doesn't matter. So that's why the game feels like it's more premium focused than it used to be, because donuts are essentially worthless. They're about as worthless right now as Bitcoin. So CJ Brown LV says, I'm always good for the one-liners once in a while. The last comment comes from CJ Brown LV. If I graded Act 1 and Act 2 as a mini event, it would be a fun-filled B+. It's worth repeating and sandwiching 2 mini events together in order to create a multi-act event did not work. If it did, I would be reading this multi-act event's last act was awesome. But it sure looks like Act 3's good was Act 4's failure for many tappers. I love my Cyborg Willie and Killy the Tractor, and that's all I cared about in Act 3. I didn't care for the Treehouse of Horror segment, so I have zero interest in Act 3 and Act 4. The event gets a D versus an F. I am disappointed in EA. Come on, you had everything set up to give us a visual character cast with robots in the Rumble Arena. This should have been like 2016 superhero event with numerous robot characters, not robot decor. Tappers would have gladly spent extra donuts for that. Oh, not according to the last reader. Now there's content I don't care for that will end up in Black Friday, and I still won't care for it. That's what I call lazy. I still love what minimal content I obtained, but a majority is in storage, or I just stopped tapping for the second time this year. And that's it. Any thoughts on those reader comments?
It's a pretty mixed reaction. The survey showed, the poll showed, it ranged from A to F, and it was kind of reflective in the comments. You can see most people were kind of in the mid-range. But yeah, you're going to get, with this many players, you're going to get a wide variety of responses. So.
And it always feels like those who are the most angry about something are the most vocal. So we didn't really hear from people who left the Bs. We didn't really even hear from people who left the Cs. A few, but not many, because they probably were like, it was all right. So that's how it goes. Before we wrap up, Seth, do you have any thoughts about what we might see in the next event?
I'm still going to keep guessing Springfield Heights until they give us Springfield Heights. So I'm guessing Springfield Heights.
It's a good assessment. So right now we are Saturday in the off week. We should see a mini event, start Wednesday of next week, if they follow the same pattern they always follow. So it should be a mini event. As far as what the content is, I don't even know anymore. Like, every time we guess, they throw something at us like robots. No one saw the robots coming.
No one ever sees the robots coming.
Exactly. So I'm going to not make a prediction. You're welcome. I am going to say that I think the Golden Goose Realty should come back with the next mini event, because I'm not happy hearing people complain that they don't have it. Of course, it'll come back. People still won't buy it, and then they'll complain they don't have land later. But at least if they bring it back, it'll be something. So anyway, any final thoughts before we wrap up, Steph?
No, overall, it was a much better event than I anticipated. Pretty happy with it, and looking forward to the next event to come.
Yeah, I agree. It was a good event, good time. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the awesome Addicts community, and we will see you guys on the next show. Bye-bye.